Hi everyone, so I reviewed the Castle Arts pastel tint pencils a little while ago on my channel, that's those here, and they've just sent me their Harmonious colour pencil set, which is this one on the right. I'll just show you the cover, so that's what that looks like. It's 72 pencils in this set, whereas the pastel tints were 48, so we've got a lot more colours in this new set. And whereas the pastel tints were obviously pastel tints, so very, very light versions of colours, we've now got the Harmonious, which really dive into the deeper, darker, desaturated versions of colours. They've also got quite a few pastel tints as well, but there's generally a lot more grey added on these Harmonious pencils, so again, more desaturated. The pencils, the feel of them, the way they lay down, work exactly the same as the pastel tints. The cores feel the same. They are on the harder side. They're definitely a layerable pencil rather than a smushy mushy pencil like Prisma. But what I thought I'd do, because there's such an amazing range of colours here across both sets, I thought I would grab my Prismacolor family charts, which is looking a lot worse for wear. I think I need to redo it, but I use it a lot, so that's why. I thought I would grab this and try and see if I can find some completely different, but, you know, very, very good tints and shades of the Prismacolors that we've got. Because, of course, there's 150 Prismas, so we do have an awful lot of colours and variation in there. But there's also quite a few that we don't have that appear in these sets. And I also want to see whether these Castle Arts pencils work well with a Prismacolor lead, whether they blend together or whether it takes a little bit more work. So we will see, but I'll dive straight in to showing you where you can put some of these pastel tint and Harmonious colours around the Prismacolors that you already have to create brand new gradients. Okay, so we're starting off with the pastel tint Blushing Rose, which is a gorgeous lighter tint to the Prismacolor Carmine Red. It is a little bit peachy, and the Carmine Red is a very peachy pinky kind of red. And even though you might not think that the peach of the Blushing Rose goes with the pink of the Carmine, as soon as you blend them together, it just looks like the most natural gradation and the most natural tint for that colour. Now, in the Prismacolor, there aren't really any light oranges. You've got your Sunburst Yellow, your Spanish Orange, but they have a lot more of a yellow undertone than an apricot one. And that's where this Petunia Pink really shines, because it does look a little bit like a deep yellow on the screen right now, but in front of me it's way more of an apricot colour, and it actually makes more sense as the tint or the lighter version of the Prismacolor Orange than any of the other Prismacolor yellows. So this one, it's one of those colours that you don't often find, this kind of apricot colour, and it goes really, really nicely with the Prismacolor Orange. This one is a really interesting blend. It's a triple blend, as you can see. And the Prismacolor Salmon Pink is the colour in the middle of the blend. So it's the mid-tone. And with the pastel tint, you can get a perfect deeper version of the Salmon Pink. It's called Coral Blush. And it's just a perfect match. And the Wheatgrass from the Harmonious pencil set makes a really, really nice tint. It's a very, very pale, subtle tint of that salmon pink colour. And again, it's just not a range that we have within the Prismacolors. So it's been so fun to put all of these pencils together and really expand my Prismacolor set with all of these add-ons that are just perfect matches. So for this one, we've got Prismacolor Sunburst Yellow and the Saffron pencil from the pastel tint selection. Now, the Saffron is a lot warmer and closer of a match to the Sunburst Yellow than some of the yellows in the Prismacolor. So you might get Canary Yellow, Lemon Yellow, Deco Yellow as lighter versions of this. But the Saffron pencil, it's got the exact undertone that's needed for the Sunburst Yellow. Again, very hard to explain unless you see it in person with your own eyes, but it just fits a lot better than the selection of yellows that we have There's nothing wrong with the yellows that we have in Prismacolor at all, but it's going to be really fun to use all of these supplementary colours that we haven't had before to change our blends and change the colours that we're using and the blends that we're using in the colouring pages. And it's going to make our work look fresh and different. I often get stuck in using the exact same blends and colours in my work, and it will just be really nice to have these options now. So, fun fact, I don't know if I've told you before, but my favourite Prismacolor colour pencil is Parrot Green. I just adore this colour. And we do have the true green and the light green that I've put on my family chart as the next colours up, the next colours lighter to the Parrot Green. But this Viridi colour from the Pastel Tints is the perfect shade. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this is the perfect shade, but it really is. The true green and the light green do change the shade from Parrot Green slightly, but they're the best matches that I had to do the colour family chart with. But this Viridi is the Parrot Green, just a shade lighter or a couple of shades lighter. And as it's my favourite colour, it's going to be really great to have an exact same undertone of that colour, but lighter, so that I can make those blends really pop. Pale Sage is one of the lightest and palest colours in the Prismacolor collection. And this Aloe Green from the Harmonious set by Castle Arts, it is just a fantastic compliment. I'm trying to think of other words than perfect, but it's even lighter than this Pale Sage, and there's nothing in the Prismacolor that I can find, unless I did a very light coating of the Pale Sage and then went over it with the white pencil, I would not be able to get this colour. So it's really nice to have this even lighter tint just in a pencil ready at hand to use. So the grey-green light from Prismacolor, another very, very pale colour. It was really hard for me to place on the colour family chart that I did. I ended up putting it in front of the light green because that was just the only place I could put it, but it probably would have been better with the Celadon green on their own. But then it would have been such a huge jump from the grey-green light to the Celadon green that even though they've got a very similar undertone, it wouldn't have worked as a blend. So that's where I ended up putting it in front of the light green. However, now we've got this pale apple from the Harmonious set, which is the absolute perfect next gradient of the grey-green light. It's the perfect next colour. It's got the desaturation that the grey-green light has got, because obviously it has grey in it, so it's a lot more muted and toned down than a vibrant colour. And need to think of another synonym for perfect, but it's pretty spot on. By the way, you might notice that I'm putting little arrows on the chart as I go, and that's because I've got the order mixed up, because I always make a mistake when I first do my charts. And so for example, with the pale apple and the grey-green light, you can see that it is the pale apple that is the darker one rather than the grey-green light. Anyways, I've made the same mistake here with the seaweed and olive green. So the seaweed is the darker of the two. It's from the Harmonious set. Now the olive green in the Prismacolor, just looking at my family chart, I've put the Prussian green and then the kelp green. And I don't know whether it's because the colours have lightened over time or whether it was just the only place that I could put the olive green. But there doesn't seem to be a green that's darker that still stays on the same tone as the olive. You might be able to get away with the marine green, but it's a little bit browner. So this seaweed is, again, just a really nice deeper tone of the Prismacolor olive green. So muted turquoise is one of those Prismacolors that you don't quite know, again, where to put it. I've sort of lumped it in with the Celadon, the jade, the Mediterranean blue, but it's just one of those funny colours. And the pastel tint jade is a really nice light version of the muted turquoise, and the Harmonious Ocean Sapphire is, again, just the perfect deep tone to go with the muted turquoise. You can get away with Mediterranean blue, but the muted turquoise does have a lot more grey in it than the Mediterranean blue does. So the Ocean Sapphire has that perfect balance of grey, and this just makes a really nice triple colour gradient for the muted turquoise. There's nothing lighter than the light aqua in Prismacolor of that same undertone anyway, and that's where the pastel tint Delphinium comes in. This pencil is the lighter version of the Prismacolor Light Aqua, and again, it might not be very obvious on screen, but when you see it in life, it's just a fantastic way of lightening up your light aqua. As I said, you can always get your white Prismacolor pencil over your light aqua to create this tint of colour, but we have it here in a pencil, and this is the point of the video, just to show you different options. So yeah, it's a lovely colour, that Delphinium. We talked about the Mediterranean blue earlier and how it is more of a blue colour than it is a muted turquoise, but it's still not a true blue, this Mediterranean. So the pastel tint Larkspur is the the perfect light Mediterranean blue. If I could rename these colours, it would be light, whatever the Prismacolor is, or dark, whatever the Prismacolor is. Because we're just getting, again, those really light colours, those really deep colours to supplement our Prismas. So yeah, Larkspur and Mediterranean blue is another great pairing. Indigo blue in Prismacolor is one of the darkest blues in the set. We do have the Indanthropine blue, but that has more of a violet undertone than the indigo does. So you can't really put the Indanthropine after the indigo if you're trying to keep on the same undertone. That's where the Harmonious Night Blue comes in, because it is a shade or two darker than the Prismacolor Indigo. And again, it's just giving you those options to get even deeper and darker or lighter than you can find with your Prismas. On my Prismacolor family chart, the colour that I've chosen to be the lighter version of Blue Violet Lake is the Cloud Blue, which is true, they have the same undertone, but they are quite a bit different in shade. So the Blue Violet Lake is substantially darker than the Cloud Blue. You can make it work because Prismacolors are lovely and mushy and you don't have to work as hard, but there is a colour that can go between the Cloud and the Blue Violet Lake, which is the Blue Daisy from the Pastel Tint collection. So I will be putting the Blue Daisy right smack bang between the Blue Violet Lake and the Cloud Blue on my Prismacolor chart. Grade Lavender is another one of those really unusual Prismacolors that doesn't have a proper place on the family chart. It doesn't really have any lighter version or darker version, and I've found the absolute perfect blend for the Grade Lavender. Now, I've done the chart wrong again. The Grade Lavender is in the middle of the blend, and the Cornforth White is the lighter tint of the colour, and the Wisteria is the deeper tint. They're both from the Harmonious set, these colours, and I'm just really excited to be able to use my Grade Lavender to create more unusual of a blend, you know, when I'm doing purple, something that's more desaturated and vintage looking. So yeah, don't forget that this Wisteria colour is from the Harmonious set, whereas on the next blend we have Wisteria from the Pastel Tint set. So the Parma Violet Prismacolor I've put behind the Lilac, but if you look, the Lilac is a lot, well, it's not a lot more red, but it's a bit more red of a tone, a bit more red violet than the Parma Violet is. So the Wisteria from the Pastel Tint set doesn't have the redness and the warmth of the Lilac. It matches up with the Parma Violet much better. The Wild Berry from the Harmonious set is the ideal colour to lighten up your lavender from Prismacolor. They have recently brought out Orchid to replace lavender, but the Orchid colour is a little bit greyer, a little bit deeper than the original Prismacolor lavender. So if you're looking for a lighter version of the Prismacolor lavender, you've got it here with the Wild Berry. Now on my family chart, I've got Dahlia Purple as the next darkest colour down from the Mulberry, which is admittedly a really gorgeous and good blend. However, it is leaning more on the very warm purpley side, whereas this Sourberry colour from the Harmonious set, it's a little bit more greyer, a little bit more desaturated, and again, it matches up perfectly with the Mulberry. Blush Pink in the Prisma is a really good lighter version of the pink in the Prismacolor. However, there is quite a bit of difference when you look at them between the tone. So if I was to find another pencil that would go between the two, it would be this Pastel Tint Foxglove colour, just to bridge the gap between the Blush Pink and the pink. Deco Pink in Prismacolor is the lightest pink you can get, but Pastel Tint do one called Snow Waffle, which is a perfect lighter tint, even lighter tint of the Deco Pink. We also have the Dusty Rose colour from the Harmonious set, which is a gorgeous, deeper complement to the Deco Pink. So it makes a really nice blend overall. On the family chart, I've got Peach, Nectar and Henna, which again, really good blends. But if we put the Nectar from the Prismacolor in the centre of this blend, we've got the Carnation colour from the Pastel Tint, which is even lighter, I think, than the Peach in the Prismacolor set. And the Amaretto from the Harmonious collection is a lot more desaturated than the Henna colour in Prisma. So again, you've just got another option for a different kind of blend using that same Nectar pencil. Inca Gold is my favourite colour that Castle Arts do, hands down. It is stunning. It's very reminiscent of the Polychromos Green Gold. And again, it's one of those unusual colours that you don't tend to find in pencil sets. It goes fantastically well with the Artichoke from Prismacolor, and it would also go equally as well with the Bronze Prismacolor. It's like having a gold in a pencil that isn't metallic, and it's so rich and opulent. I absolutely love it. Everyone needs this Inca Gold pencil in their collection. And there we have it. Sorry if it was a bit repetitive, but I absolutely love the different combinations we can make, including these pastel tints and Harmonious in the Prismacolor pencil collection. Fantastic. So just a few words now on how the pencils work together. As I predicted, the Castle Arts pencils are more of a layering pencil, so they would require a little bit more work than a Prismacolor. As you can see from the chart, the blends are pretty good. There are areas, for example here on the Amaretto colour, that are a little bit more grainier. I guess they don't use as much pigment in their formula than Prismacolor do, and that's why Prismacolor are so buttery and soft, which is either a really good thing or a really bad thing depending on what type of colourist you are. You might really prefer something that is harder and takes a lot more layers. I know an awful lot of colourists do that in their work. So again, it's personal preference, but they can be blended together. This is proof of it. It's just that sometimes you might find certain colours tend to look a little bit speckly. Maybe if you overwork them, they look speckly. And that's probably what I did here on the Nectar and the Amaretto blend. But it can be done. This is proof that it can be done. And the blends look gorgeous. It's not going to be as quick of a process, I guess, as it would be blending two Prismas together. But what I'm interested to know, and I might end up doing this myself, is creating this chart again, but with Polychromos, because the Polychromos colour pencil set, even the 120, I'll just show you, even the 120 are all really vibrant, deep colours. So you've got a lot of really dark, like the Caput Mortem Violet, a lot of those really dark colours. There's nothing too light on here. It's lacking in the tints. So, I mean, we've got the light flesh, that's not really that light. The ivory is probably the lightest colour against the white. The rest of it, again, really deep and dark and vibrant. So I wonder, with the Polychromos being an oil-based pencil and a layering pencil, whether they would work better with the Castle Arts. And there certainly is a lot of scope for the pastel tint set to combine with the Polychromos especially. You probably could find a few Harmonious in there that would complement the Polychromos, but for the most part, they've got that side covered. It's more the lighter tints of colour. So yeah, I'm interested to know if anyone uses their Castle Arts with Polychromos. Is this something that I should have a go at, trying to find some more of these blends and these complementary tints? What do you think? Let me know. I have rejigged this chart so that it is correct. I've moved everything around that I got wrong in the first place. So if you want to download it and have a go, if you've got both sets or all the sets of these pencils, it's in the description. It's a free download. Feel free if you want to. Really, I just made it for myself and for the purposes of this video, but if you want it, it's there, you've got it. So yeah, just really interested to hear your thoughts on today's video. It's quite different, but I've really enjoyed doing it. It's something, you know, completely different to what I normally do. Just trying to find how you can make two pencil sets that are quite different in the way that they work together. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you for Castle Arts for sending out these pencils. This was not a sponsored video at all. They just sent me the products and said, do what you like with them. So, so here I am. This was a really, really interesting test, and I'm glad that I can make them work with the pencil set that I use the most. So thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as always, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.